This is one of those occurrences where the album title or EP title sounded way more interesting than the content actually gave to me. Paranoia, A True Story by Dave East isn't quite what I was expecting. I thought this was gonna be a an album or an EP tackling mental illness, tackling paranoia, and it wasn't quite that. Sure, he does get introspective and he's quite lyrical at points, but I did expect more on the paranoia side, apart from just the first track. The first track titled Paranoia, and in the chorus he says, "Paranoia getting the best of me, I don't want nobody next to me." And he does talk a little bit on why he's paranoid and feeling this way on the rest of the track, but the rest of this album, I'm going to call it an album. It's 43 minutes, it can't be an EP if it's that long, seriously. But yeah, it doesn't really explore too much on the rest of this album on the paranoid state. I thought it was going to. I'm a little disappointed with that because I do feel like on a lot of these tracks he says a lot without really saying anything at all. It's kind of weird. I don't know how he does this, but he says so many things, but there's so little substance to what he's saying so much of the time. I mean, the final two tracks for me are where it gets really deep in the lyrical content. It's just a shame that it took that long to get to his best lyrical parts of his songwriting. Because we follow up the first track, Paranoia, with the longest fucking skit ever in the history of music. I mean, this skit is just so long and unnecessary. I don't know why he would put that second on the album. But this skit is kind of like prepping up the next track featuring Nas, and all Nas does on this song, The Hated, is do the intro and then he comes back for the outro, and that is it. This track isn't bad at all, to be honest. It's one of the better songs on the album, but I'm sorry, I don't. If I see Nas like as a feature, I want him to rap. This is the most disappointing song for me because I just thought he was going to do way more than an intro and an outro. We do, however, have features from Wiz Khalifa and French Montana. Wiz Khalifa mostly talks about being high on his phone jumping feature, but however, Dave East is his flow on that song is insane. I mean, that is the most impressive flow he shows on this entire album for me. That he's spitting like crazy. And French Montana's feature on Maneuver is pretty unnecessary for me. Shout out to Sean C, by the way, because he is so bang on when he says that French Montana basically should be a DJ at this point. He's so much better at collaborating and curating songs and bringing artists together. He's so much better at that. And of course we have Chris Brown later on in the album, which is easily the worst song on this album. I mean, it's such a sleazy, trashy song about girls. I don't know, Chris Brown in 2017, I just don't see why people still listen to this guy. There's so much great R&B out there. Why does Chris Brown still get featured on songs? And the interlude prior to this song isn't particularly flattering. Although the vocals are nice, I'm not sure who the vocalist is. She has some nice vocals, but the chorus to that little interlude is a bit blah. But luckily we do get those last two tracks, which are easily the best on the album, especially from a lyrical standpoint. I mean, he really does sound introspective on these ones, especially the last song, which is titled Have You Ever? And on this song he kind of talks about how he's been caught up in the crime life, and there are issues in his neighborhood that he's been kind of caught up with, which I feel like he's sort of regretting, but he hasn't quite said that. And the reason I think that is because he mentions his daughter, Carrie, which she has an interlude on this track, which is pretty cute, but he mentions her quite a lot on this song, as if like he's trying to like do best for her and make sure that the money that he has can never be like taken from any kind of like gangs or anything, because it needs to be saved for her. But yeah, that's about it, I think, for the tracks on this album that I like the most. I mean, it's just those last two. I think overall he's a little boring, to be honest, on the mic. I feel like his voice doesn't sound all that great, and I don't know, I'm just left kind of like blah after each track. He's not a bad rapper by any means. This isn't a bad album by any means. It's just, I don't know, I'm just not into it at all. Some of the beats aren't exactly that exciting. I think some of the samples that get used are a little bland. Yeah, it's just meh for me. I would recommend it though. I feel like a lot of people will like this, but I don't think Dave East is quite at his, peak yet. He's not really getting there. I think sometimes the song topics kind of like flow in and out of the ideas that he's trying to put across. He kind of rambles a bit. A little bit like my reviews actually. It reminds me of myself, just rambling on and on and on and on and on. So to sum up, like I said, he says a lot, but without really saying much at all. It's a bit weird. I don't know how he does it, but it's a talent, I suppose. I'm going to give this a D, and if you like this review, make sure you subscribe for more reviews, and have a good day.